Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar. Joining us today, we have Sean and Mary from KwikTag, so a huge thank you to them for being here today. A couple of things to go over before we get started. This will be recorded, so you'll be getting the recording within a couple of days. Also, if you have any questions, please type those out in the chat window, and we will answer those at the end. And with that being said, I will hand things over to you, Mary.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Allie. We're really excited to be a part of the conversation today. And thanks everyone for joining us to talk about KwikPayables, which is end-to-end AP automation for Dynamics GP. And I'm excited to introduce my colleague, Sean Fitzgerald, as well. Hey, Sean, are we going to turn our webcams on to say hello to everybody? Go ahead.
I guess we can allow that, yeah.
That would be fantastic. We like to make this interactive. Listen, we can't do these sessions in person anymore, or at least right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, we like to make it fun.
Working from home like everybody else, huh?
Absolutely.
Figuring it out. Yeah. Not a big transition for us. We were pretty remote, pretty set up for this. So just FYI, side note, really no business disruption for us. We were fortunate in that regard. So KwikTag is moving right along.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks, Sean. So we're going to turn our webcams off for now, but we'll come back to them at the end if we have time during the Q&A. And there may be times during the course of the discussion that that we pop into those for a minute or two as well. But my name is Mary Miller, and I'm excited to be with you today. I head up our marketing and channel program here at KwikTag. Sean, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself as well, that'd be great.
Yeah, I am a senior account manager with KwikTag in my 8th going on 9th year, and I'm more excited than ever just because of some new things we've been doing with the product, and I'm grateful for your time here with us this morning, and as I said, excited to show you what's next with KwikTag.
Awesome, thanks, Sean. So as we've kind of introduced here a little bit in our intros, we'll get a little bit more into here in the agenda, but we're not going to spend a lot of time here. We want you to understand kind of what we're really focusing on today. So we're going to talk primarily about accounts payable automation in Dynamics GP. But first, it's really important that we help understand the why, the challenges and the processes that are probably pretty real world for you all today, and maybe even more so if you've got some teams that are remote that maybe are not used to being remote or maybe comfortable being remote. And so it really does kind of change the dynamic. So we'll share some challenges and processes and industry benchmarks that support that. That comes into play really well also if you're building a business case, or you might have to share this data with others on your team or on your management team or things like that to help them understand, you know, just how critical automating some of these processes that are very manual today can become for your organization. And then Sean is going to walk us through a demonstration of KwikPayables for GP. And you guys, it has a whole bunch of new features and functionality in it that I can't give away the farm, Sean. I'm not going to, you know, steal your thunder or anything, but I want everybody to know that it's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of new and exciting stuff to share there. So can't wait. So hang on to your seats when we get to that part, friends. And then we'll come back and share some benefits and use cases and just sort of some success stories that we're seeing with other companies. And again, we'll make time if we can for questions, but please submit them throughout. And if we don't get to them on the call, we will address them at the end. So challenges, why are we here? What's the driving force behind moving toward automation, especially as it relates to your AP invoices? Well, we partner with a company called Level Research, which is kind of the Gartner for finance and operations processes. They're very specific and niche to mid-market and enterprise companies that focus on financial processes. So here's what they've shared with us, that even this is recent data too, this just within the last 6 to 8 months, they did a whole new set of research and it produced these results that AP managers and directors of finance and CFOs reported these as their top challenges. Maybe you can relate to some of these. The manual data entry that goes along with getting an invoice into the system, and the inefficiency in the process that creates, number one answer, of course, and that relates very directly to the number two answer, the manual routing of invoices for approval. Now, Sean and I were just talking about this a couple of weeks ago where we were talking to a customer and they said, yeah, we've got to go in to the office sometimes. We accounting have to go into the office sometimes because we're the only ones there. You know, somebody from a different department stops by to pick something up and didn't expect anyone to be there. Who's there? Accounting and finance. So that manual routing is very practical, it's very real, and right now especially it's very painful because probably the people that need to review those invoices, potentially code and approve them, are not in the office. They're still in a different location or a remote site, perhaps working from home. So it really, those top two reasons are very, very real for us, even outside of what's going on right now. But in our current environment, makes those things even more of a challenge. The manual data entry and inefficient processes, and that manual routing of paper invoices for review and approval. And those two things primarily lead to everything else, all the other challenges you see here, right? The discrepancies, the exceptions, the hurrying through things and trying to manage everything on paper and track it all down, not losing things, that sort of thing. So these are the challenges that we're seeing today and that the industry research experts are presenting. Again, maybe you can relate to some of these challenges in your organization. Now, when we add to those challenges the amount of paper that we're still receiving our invoices in is really kind of exacerbating the problem. You can see here that of the organizations that were part of this research study, they represented small business, of course, mid-market and larger enterprises, but the small and mid is where we find a lot of the companies we work with. It's frankly where a lot of the Dynamics GP customers, Dynamics mid-market, tend to be. So we find a lot of the customers and the people that we work with right there in those middle two rows. And you can see on this data that of them, 41 to 48% of their invoices are still coming in on paper. Now, the good news about that is that just 6-8 months ago, before this round of data, that number was 50%. So friends, we're moving in the right direction. That's great. We're starting to get more invoices via email. Maybe some of them are sending to us, maybe vendors are sending, bulk messages to us with invoices attached electronically. So we're moving in the right direction, but 41 to 48% is still a lot of paper. So remember all those challenges we talked about, moving things around, manually entering the data off of this paper. And then at the end of the day, we're running those paper stacks over to the file cabinet. We're putting it in the bin, waiting for it to be filed. God only knows what that's going to look like in a month or two when we have to get back to the office. So the whole idea, the whole concept here, right, is that if we can make these documents digital as soon as possible in the process, as soon as they enter our organization, whether centrally or remotely, that's what we want to do. We want to get them digital and keep them digital throughout this process. So paper is certainly a huge part of that problem. Now, when you add to that layer of manual processes, paper coming into our organization, the fact that we also sometimes have a procurement team, again, centralized or not, that is involved in this process. If we're using purchase orders in our invoice process, we have some additional 2, 3, maybe 4 people just as part of that process. We have somebody who created the purchase order, maybe the purchasing manager, department manager, somebody responsible for the budget. They prepare the purchase order, they send it into accounting and wait for the goods to come in. And then somebody in either the front office or the warehouse or wherever things might happen to be received in your organization, that person receives the goods and probably some sort of document that supports that, a bill of lading, a packing slip, something like that. Then that person sends those additional information, those additional documents to somebody in accounting or finance to collect everything, compare everything, manually check, compare those things to make sure that what was ordered matches what was received, of course. And then once everything is good, they set it aside, they wait for the invoice to come in, right? Then once the invoice comes in, all of those documents from all 3 previous steps are sent to accounting to pay that invoice. Now, again, we've got people involved in this that may not have been part of the process before if we were doing straight through processing for, standard payables invoices. But if we add purchase orders to this process, it makes it even more complex because now we have more people, potentially more locations, and other departments involved in this process, which can also slow things down and create additional challenges. So some of those challenges are represented here. And the biggest one, friends, is the lack of visibility between the departments, because you don't see invoices in accounting until the invoice comes in, right? So we don't see that prior documentation. We don't see the purchase order. We don't see the receiving document until it's the end of the cycle. Well, guess what happens? We get that phone call, right? We're in accounting. We're the ones getting that phone call. Hey, what's the status of that payment? What payment? I haven't seen an invoice. I don't have any supporting documentation. So visibility and communication between the departments responsible for purchases when you add purchase orders into the mix, again, becomes even more complex and creates additional challenges. And it's really hard to find this information when you need it. So of course, those lead to some of the other challenges you see here. But of course, the top three: lack of visibility, difficulty obtaining that information, and poor communication, just because they can't see the documents and the data, represents a huge part of the challenges related to invoice processing, especially if you have purchase orders in the mix. So where does KwikTag fit? What do we do? How do we help? Well, we initially were a document management system first and foremost, and so we capture the documents as they enter your organization, whether that's on paper or in email or some combination thereof. We capture the documents, we get them into the process. We integrate very well with your ERP systems. I'm going to talk about which ones in particular in a second here. And then we automate those invoices for coding, review, approval, and we create those transactions in Dynamics GP for you, depending on what type of invoice it is: a payables, a purchase order, whether that's shipment invoice with a two-way match or enter match if it's a three-way. Sean's going to demonstrate that for you, so hold on to your seats. It's going to be fun. But right before we do that, I want to just highlight that if you're a Dynamics GP user, everything that we're going to show you in this demonstration today is going to be right up your alley. It's going to feel second nature. But just understand, if you're a user of one of the other Dynamics ERP systems, we fit there too in many of these categories. As I mentioned, document management is our core, and in Dynamics GP, we're compatible with all of the most recent versions going back to 2013, including the most recent update at the end of 2019. Actually, I need to update this graphic. And we also can support Dynamics GP in the cloud. We have KwikPayables, which is what we're going to show you today. And we have a KwikExpense solution, which Sean might have 30 seconds or so to squeeze in at the end there. But we also have document management across all of the other Dynamic suites: Business Central, Finance, SL, NAV, and AX, as you can see here. And we can support Business Central and D365 Finance document management with KwikTag in the cloud for those as well. And you can see the other things that we support. Primarily today, though, we're going to focus on Dynamics GP. And for that, I am going to turn it over to Sean to walk through a demonstration. And Sean, I know we have a lot to cover, so you may not have time to show all 79 screens that KwikTag integrates with from a document management standpoint. In fact, we'd probably be here till tomorrow if you did. But we're really looking forward to you highlighting AP automation for us and document management in GP and everything we can squeeze into to the time we have here together.
Exactly, and no, I won't show all 79 screens, but
Okay,
I will start here just to touch for a minute on document management, because yeah, I'm going to focus on AP automation for the rest of the time here. But before I get to that, do remember, what Maria was just saying was, with KwikTag, you're getting an enterprise-wide document management solution, okay? That means you can use KwikTag everywhere in your whole organization. Number one, as she said, we're at 79 screens. My implementation here is at 61 screens in GP. And what you're looking at is, I am in KwikTag drawers. On the left-hand side, there's all my drawers. I have 61, right? Here's a couple of my favorites. I click on a drawer. Payable transaction entry, that's a non-P.O invoice. I open up that drawer, there's the files, okay? I click on a file, I see the document, right? And then as I click here, I will see workflow history, and ta-da, here is an invoice that went through a workflow approval process. Sean, the department manager, back to Sean, the AP guy, and that's what I'm gonna take you through right now. All right, I'm going to show you how this happened. This invoice came into KwikTag, got routed for review and approval, went through that whole process in our company, and then got pushed into GP and created. So how did that happen, right? And here's the audit trail for it. So how does that happen? All electronically, digitally, right? No paper involved at all. And man, we could knock this thing out in 4 minutes if we had to. Watch how quickly this happens. So let's show you what that looks like. Let's jump into task. And so I'm gonna have on the hat of the AP person. So Sean, the AP guy right now. In the top right-hand corner, I'm logged in, little orange dot there. It says SF, Sean Fitzgerald, just regular old Sean, Okay, so I come in and I'm right into my task. Obviously tasks, things I have to do that have been assigned to me. If you're using QwikTag workflow, you're going to have things assigned to you on a daily basis, and here they are. So that's what this big section is. On the left-hand side, top left-hand side, you'll see we have about 5 different, headers there. I call them buckets. These are different things, different task buckets that I have. Now, you can have your invoices automatically, you can have them emailed right into QwikTag. So you can give that email address to your vendors if you'd like, and they can send them in, and you'll come in on a, what is this, Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon, and here we are, and the invoices have already appeared in here from my vendor right into QwikTag. Now, I have a payables invoice. I have a purchase enter match. So that's a P.O. invoice, 3-way. I have a purchase shipment. So that's a P.O. invoice 2-way. So we handle all 3 of those common scenarios with a GP invoice, okay? Now, the first thing you're gonna see is that I have documents in all of those places. So when your vendors email invoices into you, QwikTag has enough intelligence to figure out which of those 3 buckets it goes in, right? Non-P.O. or one of the 2 P.O. buckets. That's the first bit of intelligence and magic that QwikTag applied here. We're going to start with a non-P.O. invoice. So we're going to take this in. As I said, it's going to start here. We're going to do some data entry and kick off the workflow. I'm going to send it to a manager for approval, and then we'll get it into GP. That's the path this non-P.O. invoice is going to take. All right, so I got a shared queue with some of my associates here. So let's filter just to my docs. SF are my docs. So I'm going to hit the edit pencil there, the icon, the pencil. This is the first time I've ever seen this invoice, okay? So, and I got to do some, not much, very little data entry on the left-hand side, because look, most of it's all done for me, right? So as you'll recognize, and working in GP, most of these fields, these are all GP fields, right? And so what did QwikTag do? 2 things, and this is part of the really cool part of QwikTag. Number 1, as you're probably guessing, hey, QwikTag read the document, pulled the data off it, data extraction, and put it in the right fields in the left-hand side for me, so eventually they'll end up in the right fields inside of GP, right? Basic OCR. But this really isn't, we kind of cringe a little bit when we use the OCR, because that optical character recognition, yes, that's what is happening, but this is not yesterday's, last year's, last decades OCR, right? Not what you're thinking. This is next gen artificial intelligence that is applied here. There are no templates to set up, definitions. This isn't about necessarily, having to do a whole lot of work up front. In fact, you don't have to do any work. You could send me an invoice for the demo, all right, and it would read it, okay? So it just reads it right out of the box. Now, that's the first thing it did, was do the data extraction. The other thing it did, because QwikTag is integrated into your GP system, it reached into your GP database and it pulled back information that it needs as well. Because look at this, vendor ID, that clearly is not on the invoice, right? That's in your GP system. So QwikTag knew, hey, Interiors Inc., let's reach in there, grab that, and it pulled that back as well. Pretty strong. So what do I have to do? Well, let's click on GL distributions. They're not there. Well, are they? Yeah, they are, because watch this. Boom, we give them to you right there. So what's happening here? Well, for Interiors Inc., we have GL codes defined on the vendor card. So if you do that for a vendor, we'll present them to you right here. If you don't, or if those don't make sense, or if you need, you can come in here and change any of them that you want and things like that, or you can add them if you don't have them. We're going to add a third one and do a little bit of additional allocation. Watch this. So I added the line item, and you'll see this little GL distribution window behave just like you're used to in GP. So I added a new line. I'm going to hit the lookup, and now it's going to reach into, again, your GP database, pulling back your chart of accounts, okay? So let's just look for an additional thing there. We'll take it to overhead. We're going to apply $100 of this invoice to overhead. So we'll decrease whatever this default one is by $100. We'll click OK, and now it's coded. Okay, 3 codes. So again, it can do it automatically for you if the defaults work. If they don't, or for some reason, we give you the flexibility to code yourself. All right, now all I have to do is send it to who it goes to. We can set this workflow up so that it works with some defaults where it automatically routes, but a lot of our customers like to say, hey, listen, give me the power to build my workflow on the fly. So we'll give them their approvers in a pick list. This one happens to be a 2-tiered pick list, sales, and then within the sales department, here's a shorter list of users. Let's go with Sean, department manager, and now it's gonna route to him, okay? I'm going to say TMG, that's going to be our little note for today. Pay now, and then we'll do some workflow comments. We'll do TMG is great. These comments show up in different places depending on what's going on. So we'll just throw in a couple additional comments. I'm going to hit submit, and this is going to route to Sean, department manager, for review and approval. Okay, so that's it. So quick and easy, right? Just open the document, take a look at it, assign it to an approver, maybe not, and just hit submit, okay? So step 2, this is again going to an approver. So I'm gonna click over here to Sean, department manager, SM, top right-hand corner. I have no assigned task. Let's refresh that and change that, and there's our one assigned task. There's our invoice that came in. Now the email approval for this is going to pop up any second here in the bottom right-hand corner. We're going to see that. So I can approve from email or in KwikTag, not both, of course, either or. So we'll take a look what it looks. This is what it looks like in KwikTag, right? So I can approve, I can reject, or I can delegate the approval to someone else. Those are the 3 action items I can take. There's our email approval popping up. We'll go get that in a second. So those are the actions: approve, reject, or delegate. Okay. Now, if I'm the approver here, I probably want to see what the additional GL codes are, right? We're building a workflow history here, a lot full on with comments and everything. So those are the pieces of information we get. If I want to delegate it to someone else, I just say, yeah, man, why would you do that? This is really more of an exception. This probably doesn't happen that often, but we want to give you the out if, hey, yeah, usually I take care of this invoice, but there's a weird thing going on here and I want Luke. So I reassign it to Luke's queue. I give him some comments as to why I want him to be the approver. It moves it. I delegate the approval authority of this invoice from me to another person, okay? So we'll cancel that. Rejections look like this. If you're gonna reject it, give them some comments as to why so they know what to do when they get it. It'll go back to whomever it's routed to, and then, which is usually AP. And let me stop there for a second too. You know, my workflow I'm doing is, hey, starts in AP, goes to the approver, goes to GP. KwikTag workflow can be configured to route however you want, of course, right? You're going to tell us how to route it. Some of our companies, our clients, start with what you would call the approver, right? That's where the invoice begins. They get it, they enter the coding, they send it to their boss for approval. Once it's approved, then it goes to AP. However you guys want to do it, as many people in that workflow matrix that you want, and however you tell us to build it. All right, let's just approve it. Let's go ahead and approve. Comments are optional. We'll click OK, and it's gone. So really easy to do here in the system, but even easier to do via email, which is how most people end up approving invoices. So here's our same transaction for $492.80. So I could be Sean, department manager. Let's say I'm out of the office for whatever reason, and I get my email on my phone like most of us do these days. I glance down, I see, oh, there's something to approve. I open the doc, I can see the actual invoice right there. I have all the transactional data for me right there in the email. I even have some comments. And then I have GL code to see the coding. Again, I see the workflow. I can just literally reach down to my phone, tap that little approve button, right? And it will set up the approval for me and automatically send it. There you go. So I do that, click send, and I have taken care of approving that. We've already done it in KwikTag. So really easy to do approvals via email as well, okay? All right, so that's done. Sean, the AP guy, it kicked it off. Sean, the department manager, approved it. It could go right to GP right now if we wanted it to, and that's a pretty common workflow. We built this one a little bit differently because a lot of our clients say, you know what, hey, if it's gone out for approval or something, especially if it's gone to an approver for edit, where we've given them the power to edit the GL codes, then we're going to want to, AP is going to want to see that one more time. So we built this one with a final AP check. Again, this is optional, don't have to do this, but I click on that little edit, and now I can come in here if I want, and I can check out the codes. Hey, did they change anything? You know, am I okay with this? Yeah, it's still fine, just the way I sent it out. Okay, cool, hit submit. So again, QuikTag can be configured in many different ways. So that's the end of our non-PO invoice workflow, almost the end of it. That's the end of the approval process. Let's get it into GP now. Let's come right here to a payable transaction entry. We're gonna come here off the additional menu. We're gonna hit the, you can see here, tag documents, view documents, search. That's all QuikTag functionality, right? So I'm gonna hit the view work queue. We're gonna open up our queue right there, right here inside of GP, and these are gonna be my approved invoices for the day, okay? Or since the last time I was in here. So we'll open this up, we'll see here we go. TMG is great, TMG pay now, that's supposed to say. And there you go, there's our document that we have been moving here through the webinar. So what are these? This is a collection of approved invoices. Back to Sean, the AP guy, that's the hat I have on. Or someone else maybe within your AP department that is the person responsible for pushing these into GP, okay? So here they are. So I'm going to select whichever invoices I want, however many I want. I can choose whatever configuration, if it's 10, 20, 50, 100, we don't care. Choose all the invoices that you want, and you're going to assign them to a payables batch. Okay, so before I do that, if I want to say, oh, wait a minute, I want to verify some things. Now, you don't have to verify anything. We've already verified things a couple times, right? So I'm just showing you, you don't have to do anything at this step, but I do want you to see that it is available. I could even look at the document one more time if I wanted. Okay, let's just get this into GP. Let's go ahead and hit create. We can assign it to an open batch. Here's my open batches in GP. I could assign it to a batch that I have going on. Maybe you do batches by the week or something. A lot of times people do them by the day. So usually somebody's initials will do a TMG. Let's do a 428. Okay, today's date. That'll be our batch. So we're going to create a batch on the fly, and we're going to drop this document, this invoice or invoices right into it. There you go. If you blinked, you missed that. It went right in. We're going to look this up. I'm going to do TMG. Let's find this transaction. Yeah, we've done a few things with you guys. There we go. There's 428. And here's today's transaction. Okay. So that's the batch we just created. Interiors Inc. for 492.80. Come in here, the distributions are there, including the one that I added, so you can see that they're all there. And then I go additional view documents, and always and forever, we will have the invoice attached right here to the transaction, okay? So anytime you ever come back to this transaction, drill back to it from a report or anything like that, you will have this document visible right there. Okay, so that is the end of a non-PO invoice workflow path. That's what that took. Now, we're gonna go over and we're gonna look at PO invoices, okay? But before we do, I wanna show you something else. We're gonna pause on workflow for a second. So kind of put that on the shelf in your head. I say it that way because a lot of times people kind of start to get the wires crossed here a little bit, but I wanna show you because QwikTag also does just what we refer to as document capture. Straight up, just attach the document to a transaction. Now, as Mary said, when she said we're at 79 screens in GP, going back to that, what does that mean? Well, that means that you can upload and attach documents at any one of those screens where you'll have QwikTag turned on. Okay, and so I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'm going to stay here on our transaction that we just completed. I'm going to add some supporting documents. I know it's common that when you have an invoice in GP, a lot of times people like to put together, have this idea of a packet of information, right? A few other supporting documents. So we're going to take that and run with it, and as a means of showing you how to upload and attach documents here to this transaction. So let's do that. I'm going to hit tag documents. Tagging, that's QwikTag speak for upload and attach. Okay, we call it tagging. So I'm going to go ahead and tag the document, and let's say I wanted to put a sales order. Let's say I had a sales order for whatever reason from the vendor, and I have it as a PDF. It's sitting out on wherever on my desktop. I already have it, so I can browse out. Here's the sales order for Advanced Office Systems. I double click. Do you want to upload this? Yes. And now the invoice and the sales order are attached as well. Okay. So it's one way to upload documents is to browse out. Now we can also do drag and drop. And I'm going to grab that approval email that we had. Let's go here, back in here, and here's the invoice that came through for the approval. So I can take that, drag it over, and that will attach as well, okay? Yes, attach that. So drag and drop is another way to upload documents. Very quick and easy. You can do any document from anywhere. In a demo, I like to show it in email because it's really powerful to be able to, do that, to drag right out of email. Wow, that was great. And then lastly, if you had a piece of paper, okay, what would you do with that? What if you had a receiving document of some kind, a packing slip, okay? And Mary's going to turn on her camera because she's going to show you what our tags look like. So if I had a packing slip right now, there's Mary, my warehouse manager, right? She's got
just received it in the back door.
Exactly, in the back door. Mary she's taken in the, let's say taken in deliveries. She's got 20 packing slips sitting on her desk. They're all 2 pages each. She's going to create a reservation here. This is going to give us a holding place in KwikTag with a 9-digit number. So that 9-digit number that you see on the screen on top of GP is the same 9-digit number that Mary has there. It's not, but theoretically,
it's not, but it would be.
It would be. That is right. So they're the same. So she puts it on page 1 of her packing slip, and clicks OK, and just goes on with her day. So now at any point, Mary can grab those. What did I say? Let's call it 20 packing slips, 2 pages each, 40 documents, all with a tag on page 1 of each document. She can take those up to the scanner or drop them off somebody's desk in the front office, whatever. And once you scan them in, right, KwikTag will upload those specific documents to the exact place in GP where they need to go. Okay, so it takes that first 2-page packing slip. Page 1 has a tag, great. Page 2 doesn't have a tag, it's page 2. Page 3 has a tag. It's the next packing slip. It's going to route it to where it needs to go. So that little dumb tag separates the entire stack of tags, takes the smart tag, right, splits the whole thing up for you and automatically uploads it. Okay, now it's kind of old school technology. It's one of the first things that we had. We actually have 2 patents around this tag. And so with all we do with OCR and KwikIQ, like I showed you in the beginning, not many people are going to use the tags. Here's what happens. There's 1 or 2 people in your organization who still, for whatever reason, have to deal with a bunch of paper on a daily basis, and they love the tag because it makes their life so much easier, saves them a lot of time. So most people won't use it, but a couple will, and they'll love it. All right, so now when we go view documents, right, we will see that we have the invoice there that came over. We have the sales order. We did the browse out, and I can click on any of these and open them, right? Click on this, there's the sales order I did. Here is the email with the drag and drop. It's a little slow, it's not there yet. It'll be there in just a couple minutes. And then to be scanned, packing slip, that's actually our reservation. You can see it's got a 0 on the barcode, so that we know that's a physical document, and that's when Mary scans that in, KwikTag will set it right there, okay? So, so there you go. So that's how we handle non-P.O. invoices through the system. Okay, let's jump over to a purchase order invoice. So we're gonna go through a similar workflow process, but with a purchase order invoice. Now I gotta set this up for you a little bit real quick. I've done 2 things already, all right? Because this isn't necessarily a GP webinar, and you guys know GP better than me, so I don't want to take you through this, but I created a purchase order already in the system in GP. And I attached a packing slip. No, excuse me, I attached the purchase order to the transaction in GP. Then I received against that, right? So we created a receiving transaction entry, and I Mary the warehouse person uploaded and attached a packing slip. So my point is I have 2 transactions already in the system, both with a document attached. So we're going to do a 3-way match. So now it's the 3rd step in the 3-way match, right? Which is, of course, invoices. So we're going to come in here to our enter match, purchase enter match invoice bucket. And remember, I told you KwikTag filters those out for us. So I'll come in here. So I'm Sean, the AP guy. First time seeing the invoice. Oh, it's Tuesday afternoon, and it looks like Uline sent us in an invoice. Let's see what's going on. Well, again, KwikTag pulled information off the document, as we've already talked about, right? Dropped in the right fields. Again, went in, grabbed the vendor ID, just like a non-P.O. invoice, but it went a step further and look down here, purchase invoice lines. It got these from GP as well. I want to be very clear. It did not pull them off of the document on the right-hand side. It reached into your GP system to see what all that purchase order information told us about purchase invoice lines and pulled that back. So we can see quantity order, yeah, it was 200. We did receive 200, we got them already. And now quantity to invoice, and that's where we find ourselves, okay? So I look on the document on the right-hand side and I can say, yep, hey, quantity ordered, received, and on the invoice, happy match, right? It lines up, 47 cents per, 94 bucks. Yep, we're good to go. Happy place. I hit submit, and KwikTag will create the transaction over in GP for me. Okay, that's happy place. What if it wasn't? What if this was $1.47 unit cost? And I went, whoa, no, we're not paying that. You kidding me? That's not what we agreed to on the PO. That's not what was on, or maybe the order amount is different. I know that's very common, right? Some are on back order. Whatever the case may be, if I'm Sean, the AP guy, and I'm not cool with that, and I want somebody in my organization to explain to me, is this okay to pay, right? That's basically what I'm looking for. So I can choose that approver, again, from a list, whoever that person may be, throw in some comments as to the information that I'm looking for, right? The explanation that I need, hit submit, and now it will route via workflow, exactly like we saw the non-PO invoice route via email into their queue, same experience. They'll get comments, they'll get documentation, they'll get the PO information, everything they need to go, oh, wait a minute, yeah, maybe they have to make a call to the vendor, or maybe they already know the answer, they can just tell me. Whatever it is, they'll figure that out, right? I have workflow history tracking that. I can send that with a whatever, maybe a 2-day trigger on it that says, hey, if I don't hear back from them in 2 days, send it again on day 3 and on day 4 and on day 5 until they take action. I can go into KwikTag and look at my pending invoices and see, hey, this is sitting in Joe's queue. He hasn't done anything on it for 3 days. I can bug him about it, right? I know where it's at. I know who has it. So we can manage that process for you as well. So I'm gonna hit submit because we're in happy place, and this sends it off to GP. So what does that look like when it gets to GP for that? Well, let's go to our enter match invoice here. We're gonna bring that up. Real similar experience. You're gonna go to a work queue here on this screen, view work queue, and we're going to see the PO invoices here that we have. And there you go, mine's right at the top for Uline. There it is right there. And I can go ahead and just create this. Now, same thing, I can create as many as I want, right? Pick them all, assign them to a batch, view the document, right? I got transactional details, that I can see right there. Yep, $94, that's cool. I'm just gonna do mine. I'm gonna choose that one, hit create. Let's do a TMG PO batch. We'll hit yes, gone, out. Let's look that one up. So we'll do TMG. There it is. Oh, we got a couple. It's this one. Okay, there we go. So there is our $94 transaction that came in, and it created a purchase invoice entry for me. And then when I go additional view documents here, this will open up. And what we'll see here is I see all 3 documents. Remember, this is a 3-way match. Remember, I told you, I already attached a purchase order document, right? I already attached a packing slip to the receiving transaction entry, and then now we have the invoice, okay? So I have all three documents, right? This has IntelliView enabled. When there's a process like that, such as this, where there are related documents, QwikTag applies the intelligence to say, hey, you probably want to see these as they relate one to another, right? Does this, and two-way match is the same way, right? It just goes to, it's a purchase shipment, so it goes to shipment invoice, and it goes to that screen. We open that up and you'd see the two documents there. You wouldn't have a packing slip because you wouldn't have that one in the middle, but you'd have the invoice and you'd have whatever you attach the purchase order, okay? So, yeah, so that's how we that is KwikPayables. What we just showed you is what we call KwikPayables. It is a automated workflow solution that sits on top of the QwikTag platform. The QwikTag platform, again, going back to the beginning, gets you that document capture, that upload, attach. We have a great promo, which we'll talk about in a minute, for just the QwikTag document management platform. But this is, again, workflow solutions called KwikPayables that sits on top of that, okay? You know, I didn't show, Mary, I don't think I showed search, by the way. How are we doing on time? We got a few minutes for me to show a couple.
Yeah, no, absolutely, go for it.
So you can search for stuff in GP using QwikTag. So I just did search there. And I can look for information documents based off of filing information, which would be like a receipt number, a vendor number, a voucher number, things like that. But I want to see, I want to search on document content. Maybe somebody that works in my company said, I lost this invoice, I can't find it. It was for this warehouse thing that we got. I know warehouses, I came in sometime in the last couple weeks.
You might need an E in that. There you
Thanks,
go. After that, no worries.
Mary's my spell check. That won't work. Okay.
There you go.
And so I can come in here and do a search for warehouse. And I think we'll probably just have one for today. I don't even need to pick a date range because I think that was on the document. Yeah, there we go. So what just happened? QwikTag just looked in the entire QwikTag system, actually just for today, and there's our invoice, right? That's the one that we did. So let's see this. Open up. And there you go, right? Warehouse storage charges, okay? So it will look into every document, every email if you upload emails and attachments on emails, and it'll look for searchable criteria, everything highlighted in blue, which in this particular invoice is everything, and it will find the document. So my point is a really fast, really quick, really easy way to search for documents. And then, hey, if somebody needs that, you click email and you can now distribute this document to whoever needs it, okay? No more getting Yep.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that I know you're going to probably say no more getting up and looking for things in file cabinets, which of course is maybe not even as realistic right now with people working remotely, but even in a regular basis, on a regular basis, I think the challenge there is that people don't realize that they spend 50% of their time looking for documents and files that are located, whether that's in a file cabinet, a storage box, all that kind of stuff. 50% of the time, you just save them and you found it in a matter of seconds. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's nuts. I would pull my hair out if I spent 50% of my time looking for documents.
Right.
Yeah, great. So really easy to do that. This is also great for look backs, especially around audit time, which most of you probably just finished up with recently. And so a great way to look for documents. Okay, let's jump back over in here and what do you think, Mary? Jump over to KwikExpense real quick and just talk about that.
If you could just show it for like a minute and a half, that'd be great. Just so people understand.
Yeah. So that was document capture, and then I showed you KwikPayables, and this, which is a additional module on top of the platform. This is another additional module on top of the platform called KwikExpense, and this is meant to handle just employee expenses. So you probably have one of two or maybe both situations. Commonly, it is we have a credit card, we have American Express card, whatever the bank card might be. We have one consolidated account. We have 2,500, whatever people using that. They all have a card with their name on it. They go out, they spend it, they use it, but then they have to maintain the receipts, and they have to fill out an expense report along with the clippings of the receipts and get them approved and get them to us, and then we have to reconcile them against the corporate card, right? So we can handle that. Or the other situation is a reimbursable situation. They spend their own money, still fill out a report, still attach the receipts, and then you pay them back, right? You probably have your employees set up as vendors in GP, and you make a payable transaction back to the individual employee. Either way, KwikTag can help you, and it's real easy. All the end users have to do is accumulate their receipts, right? As you see here, this is literally me going through Chicago Midway Airport. Got a water and some Altoids, thank for the passengers next to me, and put that on top of my luggage, snapped a photo, sent it in, and it sits here, right? And then whatever, you just accumulate the receipts into your queue on, right? And then now when it's time for me to do the report, I can come in here and do my expense report, right? Whether I fill out the information, or what's even better with when you're doing corporate card statements is that you guys in the back office, right, AP folks, can upload the corporate card statement, right? You go to the bank, you download it, you get a CSV file, you can just drop it right here into KwikTag, and we will split out that entire consolidated statement. We'll find all 10 of Sean's transactions, send them to him. So then all I have to do is go in and match my receipts to the transactional data that you fed me through this report. Mary will get hers, Joe will get his, Sally will get his, right? You as the back office, all you have to do is upload that receipt, and KwikTag will send everybody's transactional data out. And we have a report that will show you who's matched their receipts or not, who's done their reports yet. And then you can send, hey, it's 2 days before the deadline. Half the people haven't done their reports. You can send a missing receipt report, which says you haven't done your report yet. These aren't on your, get your report in. So that can all be done digitally, okay? And so it's a great purpose-built solution. And on the back end, what happens? The same thing you just saw with invoices. It turns these into invoices and pushes them right into GP, just like you saw me do with our other invoices, okay? So obviously a very high level explanation. If you're interested in this, you probably have a ton of questions at this point. We'll have to cover those in a follow-up demo, but 3 really powerful solutions all in one: document capture, invoice automation, right, which people think of when they say AP automation, and then employee expense management, all wrapped into one solution. That's it, Mary. That's all I got.
Excellent. No, I love it. Thank you so much, Sean. That was awesome. And then just to kind of highlight what Sean has demonstrated here in this session that we have today is the latest release of KwikTag. So if maybe you saw KwikTag, gosh, a year ago for sure, but even 6 months ago, the enhancements that have been added to this version of the program are really, really significant. The most significant one, of course, is the KwikIQ that he showed. You didn't even have to see it because it was just, you saw the results of it when the invoices were in his queue, right? It knew what was a payables, what was a purchase order, and what was either a 2 or a 3-way match if it was a purchase order invoice. KwikIQ is the new module that is doing that intelligent extraction and AI, the powerful module that he talked about, along with the integration to GP. So that is new and supports, of course, purchase order invoices as he demonstrated. And then the layout, the features and some of the functions in the layout of the user interface have been significantly enhanced along the way. So if you saw KwikTag, again, even 6 months or a year ago, it probably looks a little bit different. In many cases, it might look very different to you. So we'd love to, kind of go through that with you in more detail if you've got questions about how that might look and work in your organization. Or if you happen to be a KwikPayables current customer, it might look a little bit different. Your things might be called Work Queue and Approval Central and things like that, whereas now we've streamlined everything into the task flow as well. So Sean, you mentioned a couple of moments ago a promotion that we're running right now specifically for customers who want to get started with document management. Maybe you could share a little bit about that with us here.
Yeah, sure. We just wanted to do what we could do, and this is what we do, and this is what we can do to help out in the current situation, right? How can we help make people's lives a little bit easier? And because, for the most part, hopefully not much longer, but a lot of us are all working from home now. And even if you're getting ready to go back to the office or depending on where you're at. This has exposed for almost all of us the fact that, wow, we need to be able to work from anywhere. That's no longer a luxury. We have to be prepared for that. And so with a KwikTag Cloud Quick Start promo, we're calling 10-10-10, what this can do, what is the 10-10-10? Well, this gets you the document management, so that document capture only solution, the base, level 1 solution. It gets you that into the KwikTag Cloud, so your IT department really doesn't have to be involved. And the 10-10-10 is for 10 users, for under 10K, up and running in less than 10 days. So that's the quick start part of it. So if you need a quick start system, at least to get document management taken care of, we can talk about AP later on. This is a great way to get your foot in the door and get something up and running in place fast. We will give you 90 days of free access, basically taking a 12-month customer support solution and making it a 15-month. We're giving you an extra 3 months on the end of that, and then flexible payment terms. If you have, for those of you that are in an industry that got particularly hit by the pandemic, talk to us. We'll work with you on payment terms as well. Okay.
Excellent. Thanks, Sean. Absolutely. And, regardless of when you begin your transformation into this digital experience, you will immediately, and our customers, I can't stress this enough, our customers tell this, and we're going to share a story with you here in a second that's real world, straight from a customer. But our customers tell us right away that they begin to save time. They improve not only their vendor relationships, but their employee relationships because they're not as stressed. At KwikTag, we're all about, giving you your work life back and really providing a sense of balance so that you're not stressed. We talked to one customer who said their accounting team was a team of about 7 people, and they were going home, even with a team of 7, they weren't leaving the office until 7 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night because they were just swamped and there was so much on paper and so much manual process. They put KwikPayables in place, the solution that Sean just demonstrated, and then they were the ones that were going home at 3:30 and 4 in the afternoon because they were able to get their job done much more efficiently with such a great efficiency factor, and they weren't doing any data entry anymore. They weren't doing any more manual routing and all of that sort of stuff. They weren't dealing with paper nearly as much, and it really helped prevent the bottlenecks that were happening with their very manual process before. So it also gave them that visibility into every step of the process. And again, Sean highlighted a lot of these things in the demonstration, but just remember when we began the conversation today, we said, hey, here's the challenges that a lot of organizations are facing today: paper, manual data entry, manual processes, no visibility, no communication. And all of those things, friends, adds up to about $23 per invoice. There's a hard cost associated with that when you're doing things manually and doing things on paper, that invoice cost to process them that way is about $23 per invoice. And by the way, the expense reports that Sean shared, that's about $26 per expense report when you do it manually. It's a little higher actually for expense reports because there's more people involved, probably more people use credit cards, and they've got all those receipts to track and a lot more data that they need to, be on top of. So all of those things combined, we really want to streamline that process and save you a bunch of time and money along the way. So the real world scenario that I want to highlight specifically is that we had a customer come down and Sean, she did the session with us at Summit in Orlando, and Creative Solutions in Healthcare is the customer, the company that came to us. Now they are a large organization spread across multiple locations, and they were doing things 100% on paper. When they first came to us, they had about 8,000 to 10,000 invoices per month. Now that's higher than some customers that we work with. We have companies that come to us that have 500 invoices a month. So don't think that if you don't have this many invoices, this isn't going to help you, because people come to us with many, anywhere along that scale, right? 500, 1,000, 2,000 invoices. In their case, they happen to be a little bit larger and had multiple locations. So when we started working with them, they had 8,000 to 10,000 invoices. Now, and this now was as of October, it was 10 to 12. They've grown since then. Now it's probably 15,000. But they had 14,500 active vendors. And again, that's probably grown. They had 117 unique entities because they have multi-entity management also built into their GP environment, and everything was manual. So picture that, regardless of what your invoice number each month is, picture what's real in your organization. And then they implemented KwikPayables. And Sean, if you could highlight what happened then, that'd be great.
Yeah, they were blown away. Immediate productivity gains. It says there went from a 9-step process to 4. Literally, I don't think they were even using it for like 4 or 5 hours that same day.
Right.
Diana sent us an email saying we have already identified 5 steps in our process that we can eliminate because of KwikTag. And it was smooth. She was excited. Day one, they were off and running, doing great. They've since done a GP upgrade, and they're getting ready to even move into using KwikTag in other areas. They're going with KwikExpense right now. They're adding that on too. They're almost down to no paper. They're keeping everything digital on the front end and through the entire process. So we did a scientific study and we proved that the AP team was amazed within 1 day. No, she said
crazy.
Literally they were like, they were so excited. She's like, from day one, they were, they were just like, wow, this works. This is easier. This is better. I don't dread this anymore, right? From the AP team. So, and that's a big deal, keeping people happy. And then she transitioned them to do, some of them to doing higher value things, right? Higher, not data entry, it's got to be done, maybe, but it's nobody wants to do it, and it's not very value based to the, to the company. So she was transitioning the team into other things, and yeah, super excited.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, they told us that there were things that used to take one person even 2.5 to 3 hours that they were able to do in less than 5 minutes once they began the process. So, these numbers come straight from them. So the whole idea of instant value and benefits in your organization really can come to life very, very quickly. So we'd like to share that
And we got to remind Mary, we have a recording of that session.
That's right, we do.
Like you said, it was from Summit in Orlando with GPUG. And so if you don't believe us, you can hear it right from the customer live on that. So
absolutely, yeah. No, we're excited about it. She was clearly excited about it, and we would hope that you would share in that excitement and participation. Certainly, let us know where that might best fit in your organization, friends. But just a quick note on, as we talked about a couple of times in today's discussion, KwikTag is an enterprise-wide document management system, and it can truly extend across any department in your organization. And as we've focused primarily today on accounts payable and a little bit of expense management, we know that that's where often the digital process and the automation begins, especially in smaller and mid-market size companies, because we're the ones that have small teams. We're the ones that only have 1, 2, maybe 3 people on our team, but we have a lot of work to get done. We have a lot of paper and we have a lot of manual processes. So that's often where, kind of the biggest pain points in documents kind of come to life. So that's often where KwikTag starts. But then what happens is they look, down the hall, across the hall, there's file cabinets outside of legal, outside of HR, outside of whoever manages contracts and vendors and the sales documents and the customer orders and, employee training records and all of those sorts of files. If they exist in your organization, they can exist in KwikTag. Just like those digital drawers that Sean showed us that attach to GP, we can create for you. We'll teach you how to create sites that correspond to these other departments, drawers that are relevant to employee and vendor files and the like. So you can continue to expand your document management system to any area of your business. It doesn't cost any extra. The system and the platform are there. All you might need to do is add users depending on which department you're extending it to. So it truly can become your enterprise-wide document management system. And we mentioned binary stream MEM in the context of the Creative Solutions and Healthcare solution, and they happen to use that as well. Of course, we integrate with Dynamics, but as you're thinking about your GP environment, chances are you also have other ISVs, other systems that are in there. And it's often really important, especially if there's invoice data that relates to these other systems, it's really important that they are able to talk to each other or make documents visible in other parts, other systems that you work with. So these are just a few of the technology integrations that KwikTag has with other Dynamics and other ISVs. So if that's part of your process, certainly let us know. We're happy to highlight those things for you as well. And Sean, I got 2 seconds on the family snapshot, right? There's all sorts of companies, shapes, sizes, and industries represented here. I know there's a few of your favorites that you like to highlight.
I do. Put them easy to see in the top left-hand corner. Just pointing out that
Right.
KwikTag is the document management system of champions. So we have the St. Louis Blue, my hometown is St. Louis. So we have the St. Louis Blues Stanley Cup champions, reigning Stanley Cup, and the reigning world champion, Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs. So yeah, a few other sports teams, but as Mary's going to tell you, just companies of all shapes and sizes.
And the real beauty of this is that we do work with companies across a lot of different industries. You know, again, there's no you got to have a million invoices, because certainly not many of our customers do. They tend to be more in the smaller and mid market. So there's no right or wrong, but they all started with the same challenges that we talked about: paper, inefficiencies, manual process, and all that kind of stuff. So, so just keep that in mind, that there are a lot of examples, and we're happy to connect you with many of our customers if you've got questions that you'd like to discuss with them in detail as well. So just know that there's lots of customers, around 1,000 of them actually, that represent about 120,000 users around the globe. So we've been doing this for 23 years. So we've got a strong footprint in the dynamic space. And again, document management has extended to AP automation, expense management, and literally we can automate any process with any document in your business. So if you do have questions and need help along the way too, we're 100% US-based support right here in Tempe, Arizona. So that's a little bit about us. Again, we're happy to share more of that as we begin to work with you at a little bit more personalized scale and focused questions and things like that. So we have come to the top of the hour, so I don't know that we'll have time for questions in today's session, but if you've put them in, we will do our best to get back to you within a day or two. Sean, anything that you would like to close with for the group today, or Allie, any questions that would come in that we might have 30 seconds to address?
Yeah, no, I'm good, Mary. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody, and we look forward to following up with you and talking with you more about KwikTag.
Got it. We do have one question actually, Sean. The question is, how does the OCR handle handwritten invoices?
I don't know, Mary. What do you think about that? I don't think it does, really, right? It doesn't do that well with handwritten. Let's be honest. I mean, you tell me. What do we know about KwikIQ and working with handwriting?
Yeah, it's not going to be as strong with handwriting, but you know what? Not many solutions, unless the handwriting is perfect, but we will happily test your invoices and put them through, because the power of KwikIQ is that it is based on artificial intelligence, and so the more it learns, the more that it sees, the smarter it will become. So again, unlike the way that you have to train it to interpret this as an M or a D or an O or whatever, the system is going to get smarter the more data that it sees. So if you've got some that are particularly challenging, certainly, you know, send us a sample of several, some that are handwritten, some that are not, and we're happy to put them through the test for you. So it's always a challenge with handwriting. No system is perfect when it comes to that, but we're happy to put them through the test and see the results and share them with you as we go through that. So yeah, thanks for asking. And thanks everybody for your participation today. Allie, I'm going to turn it back to you to close us out. We really appreciate it, and we'll be in touch with anybody else who has questions as follow-up.
Thanks, Mary, and thanks, Sean. Yeah, like I said, this was recorded, so you guys will be getting the recording in a couple of days here. And if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to myself, Allie P at tmgroupinc.com. And with that, I hope everybody has a great rest of your week. Thanks for joining.